So guys, we were able to solve the first issue, which was to add the play button to the list view item. Okay. Our next order of business is in fact to ensure that at least we are able to play one audio file. I mean, before we can move on to like playing all the audio files, we have to make sure that this thing is capable of playing at least one audio file. Okay. So I went ahead and created some PDFs in your week 7.3 section. Go ahead and take a look, okay, when you guys have the time. So this thing is about handling touch events on a list view. Okay, so we have our media player class. It has a bunch of methods like start, stop, pause, and everything, which is fine, right? And it has a state, so variables and everything. And this is our application. Okay, our goal is that when the list view is clicked, I mean when we click on any list view item here, it has to play an audio file, right? And which is absolutely fine. I mean, I'm sure we can do that using an on-click listener and everything. But so we want the app to play the audio file when a list item view is clicked. Okay. For that, we can use the on-click listener we have studied about in lesson one. And yeah, obviously, you guys, all of you guys already know how to use an on-click listener, right? We write view dot on-click listener, and inside that we create another method, and inside that we obviously mention the actions that have to be performed. Okay. The thing is, what if there were 1,000 list items? Okay, so hear me out. Imagine in here, since there are limited number of list item views, like we have 10 list item views per activity. So we have about 40 list item views. We might be able to write all the on-click listeners within an hour. Okay, but what if instead of 10 or 20, we have like 1,000 or 2,000 list item views? I mean, what if you guys were creating an application for Twitter or something, and when a view is clicked, it has to do something, right? A list item view is clicked, it has to do something. So obviously, I cannot expect you or any sane person to write a on-click listener for each and every individual list item view, right? So even Android developers, I mean, Android team was aware of that, and they implemented a way to resolve that issue. Okay, and how they were gonna do it. So what we wanted you guys to do is I wanted you guys to find out how what would happen when a list item gets clicked on. Okay, which method should we call on the list view? Okay, and what are the inputs that are required for that method? So specify the data type for the each input. That was gonna be our assignment. If you guys have the time, you can pause the video here and look up on the internet and try to answer this question. Okay, so the question is, which method should we call on the list view, and what are the inputs required for that method? Hmm? Okay, so I'll give you guys some time. Okay, assuming that you guys had enough time, the answer was gonna be adapter view dot on item click listener. Okay, now hear me out. Okay, this might look like too much of a stretch, so you guys will understand how this answer is applicable in the next video, right? So here we go. When you look at the adapter view methods, okay, there is one method. I mean, when you look at the list view, you see that inside the list view, we have it shows how the list view was originated. So how we got it. So Android view was inheriting this thing was inheriting this thing, and over and again. So and when you look here, you can see that the absolute list view, of which our list view is a child, is also a child of adapter view. So what does it basically mean? So as you can see, when we look at the list view, we realize that it is a child of the adapter view. So every method in the adapter view can also be used in the list view, right? And when we go through the adapter view methods, we obviously find this method. We find one method called, you see, under the adapter view section, we found one method called adapter view dot on item click listener. Okay, and using that on item click listener, obviously now that we know what method we should use, we should go ahead and solve the assignment. Okay, and the first thing that we want to do is we want to modify the numbers activity.java. Okay, how we want to implement an on click listener for the list view, so that number one file is played when the user touches any list item. So when he regardless of which list item he touches, it should play number one dot mp3. So let's see, let's go ahead and see how we can do that. Okay guys, so I am in the numbers activity.java method. Okay, and now we will see what we could do to get that on items click listener. So here we were able to create list view numbers list view equals to point view by id r dot id dot list view, right? So how about I add a comment stating that let's set an on items click listener on numbers list view in order to play the Lutti file again and again. Lutti file for every list view item. Okay. So how about we just go ahead and do that? So let's try to solve it. So here we have, sorry, here what we are going to do is we are going to say numbers list view dot set on sorry dot on items click listener, right? How do we get on items click listener for a list view? Let's see. On items click listener for a list view. How to create a on item click listener? Okay. He asked some question and the answer is any list view dot set on items click listener. That's exactly what we are gonna do. So we are gonna say set on item click listener. Here we go. And oh, what are the arguments? We have new Android widget dot whatever is this thing. So we'll say new adapter view and everything. Okay. And finally, what do we want to do here? We just want to play the file, right? So I'll say I'll just create a media player. Okay. So uh, creating a media player object to play the Lutti audio file. Okay, so let's just create the media player object. I'll say media player equals to media player. Before I do this, I have to download the file and save it here, right? So as you guys know, I already provided you guys a link for downloading all the audio assets. I'll obviously do that even in this YouTube description, video description. Okay, so let me just go ahead and go to OneDrive and get this. Okay, I'll go to OneDrive and get the audio assets, and I'll download those audio assets. So give me a moment, guys. So I was able to download the Miwok audio, okay, and here we have all the audio files. So what I'll do is I'll just get the number one file. So where do I have number one? Number one, number one dot mp3, right? I have it. Let me just copy it and paste it in our resource directory. So in res, let me ask it to reveal it in Finder. So I'll go and say reveal in Finder. In resources, looks like we don't have a raw folder. So I'll just create a raw folder, raw, and I'll paste this thing, the number one. Okay. Now, in order to avoid let me just comment it out so I don't get any errors. Okay, yeah. So in order to avoid any errors, and in order to actually see it here, because yeah, now I can see it, but let me just rebuild the application. Okay, so I'm going to build and rebuild project. As you can see, the Cradle is building and everything from here, and I think it shouldn't take a while for it to get everything on track. So, I mean, now that we are going to use the media player section, okay, initially we are obviously, okay, the build is done. So initially we are only going to use it for playing the same file again and again. But after this, we'll just use it to play for everything else, okay? So with that being said, so let's get started. We said media player equals to, we are using a factory method. So media player dot create, context is this, and what is the file? Our file is r dot raw dot number one. Okay, now let me just run it. Okay, apparently it cannot do that, so I'll say number activity dot this. Okay, that is done. So let me just run this thing. Okay. I mean, although I created that, I don't think I'll get any audio because I did not start the media player. So yeah, regardless, let's just build the emulator in order to make it fast. Okay, so we have the activity and obviously nothing is going to change. Let's go here and let me write media player dot start. Okay, now let me push that change. Yeah, I guess it's done. So in numbers, if I click, okay, the volume is quite low. Let me increase the volume. Okay, so here you go. So when I play this, Luti, regardless of whatever I play, I get the same sound. Luti. Okay. In the next, so with that being said, in the next video, we will see how to play. I mean, obviously, how to assign different audio files for different listeners. With that being said, guys, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next video.